Welcome to another episode of the Podcaster's Guide to the Galaxy. Join us for today's show and let us nourish your mind and soul the way a pizza nourishes you after a night out on the piss, when you've got low moral judgment and you think you're going to puke. The first pizza on tonight's menu is a sun-dried tomato base with anchovies, caviar, kale and nutmeg. Sounds suave, but you're left feeling unsure and unfulfilled. It's Tom!
That could literally have been any of us.
The next pizza is a plain cheese pizza that's been taken out of a freezer, half frozen and topped with ground ginger. It's rich. Yay!
The old ones are the best.
This pizza is a favourite of rural Norfolk folk. It's a hearty margarita topped with a boiled egg. Jason!
If it was on a kebab shop menu, would it be called the Bruce Phyllis?
Do you know what?
Phyllis.
I was literally about to say, I think that's the first time no one's mentioned Bruce Willis in my intro, and then you went and fucked it up.
Not going to happen.
Brilliant.
Finally, if you're still hungry after all that nonsense, feast on me. This.
Oh.
A doner kebab pizza. It's unhealthy, it's not for everyone, and it's a complete waste of money and will probably end up on the pavement. Me! Yeah!
Very good.
Podcaster's Guide to the Galaxy!
Welcome
That's a
to
good intro.
Yeah.
Sci-Fight. And fuck that, I can't be bothered. Okay. Right, so today's podcast premise, nominated on our Facebook group by my good friend Duncan, we are going to do our favourite top 10 sci-fi films of the past decade. But because Tom's an awkward shit, he's decided to enforce cutting out the franchises of Star Wars, DC, Marvel, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yes. Make it
Sounds
interesting.
good.
Sadistic.
Yeah.
So
And in all fairness, the main reason for that stipulation was simply because we talk about all those films a lot anyway.
We do.
And I think it's interesting for us to actually have a route around and find some films we probably wouldn't normally talk about or bring up.
Yeah. So no chance of Iron Man 3 coming up this week.
thankfully, no.
Are you sure?
Yes.
One of my favourite films in my nightmares.
So we're all going to start off at number 10. We're each going to give our choices for number 10 and then move to number 9, 8, 7, blah, 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 blah. Does anyone have any honourable mentions that didn't make it into their top 10?
Yes.
Oh, do I?
I do.
That doesn't mean every other film that didn't get into your top 10, just a couple.
No. The main one, and I don't know how controversial this is, but have you seen Mute?
No.
Have you
not seen it? No, Mute.
No.
But it's a Duncan Jones film. It was released on Netflix.
There's a mute button here on Zoom, Jason. Do you want me to press it and find out what happens?
Press it on Jason.
It is. It got a bit of a slating when it was released for being a bit overlong and complicated, but it's a very good sci-fi film. Like it's really I don't know how to describe it other than it's very sci-fi, very dystopian. Lots of allusions to Blade Runner and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's quite cool.
It'll be interesting to hear your chart then if a film you've just called very sci-fi didn't get into your sci-fi list.
I've got a film on my list that's actually titled Very Sci-Fi. It's number 10.
What I mean by that is it's really hard sci-fi.
This is sounding sexy by the minute.
Yeah.
I won't bother with my honorable mentions because I didn't make the top 10, but I will say that maybe I've bent the rules, but there are 2 films on my list which are horror-ish genre. They're not sci-fi. They're just not.
Okay.
I've got a couple of honourable mentions. One is Iron Sky 2, The Coming Race, just because I had to have some sort of humorous film on there somewhere. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth watching because it's got Hitler riding a T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It's not in my list purely because of the male lead character. If he wasn't in it, it would be on my list. So it could be a very good film, but he spoils it.
We killed him, didn't we?
Yes, we did, thankfully.
Yeah.
We did kill him, yeah. I I considered it briefly, but it's one of those films where it's like a meal where you just put literally all your favorite ingredients in. You just tip sugar in, and then tip some bacon in, and then tip some. And on paper and in your head, it sounds brilliant. And then you try and eat it, and it's just this weird mush that's all just run together. And that's kind of how I feel about that film.
Just for our listeners' information, Finney's actually salivating at that idea.
I was thinking that could only be made better by freezing it and then eating it later.
He's thinking, oh, I'll put that on my pizza with my sprinkling of ginger.
Right, should we do top 10s?
Yes, number 10.
Let's do it. Now what happens?
Yeah.
Right. We're so professional. Right, number 10. I'll go first. My number 10 is Inception.
Ooh, good.
Oh,
Just squeezing into the top 10 for me.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm not sure if I fully understand why you put that film there, but I'm sure if we go down another level, it'll become clear.
It's some big
That's what
big
happens in that
competition.
film, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Tom, what's your 10?
My number 10 was film from 2012, Ex Machina.
Oh, Ex Machina. Interesting. Yeah.
Exciting sci-fi robot horror. Kind of has sort of classic elements.
Yeah.
Of as a dystopian take on the sort of Asimovian robot thing.
Yeah.
Similar themes to the Westworld TV show. It's good.
Yeah. My number 10 is Attack the Block.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seen it. Struggled with it.
The thing when I first watched it, because it was marketed as a comedy, as an outright comedy, and then I watched it as an outright comedy, and it was a bit weird. And then I kind of stopped halfway through. I read a little bit about it, and actually people were saying, don't watch it as a comedy, watch it as a kind of proper sci-fi invasion film. And I did, and it made much more sense, and it was much more interesting.
Okay.
I didn't really like the monsters in it with the blue mouths. I thought they looked shit. That was my main problem with that film.
My main problem, unsurprisingly, was the grammar.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah. There was something about that. I don't know. I couldn't get on with that either. I know it was all just part of it, but I couldn't get on with it.
You've got to remember, I've just spent the last sort of best part of this last decade working with young people, so I kind of get what they're saying.
Never try and do that.
Oh
again.
dear!
At least you didn't go.
I'm
where I
down
thought
with
you
the
were going.
kids' blood.
Oh, you said it. You said it. That's where I thought you were going.
Can we ban Hammer, one of our own?
Yeah. We'll hit him with the ham banner.
So, Finney, are you going to join in from 5 onwards? Because you haven't done anything with your life.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay.
And also, and this is a genuine admission. I realised that I haven't actually seen that many sci-fi films from the last 10 years. So, I would just chip in. Like the 2 that I had over 5, I would probably just mention now. So I would mention. Did you just mention Inception? I think you did.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I would chuck that somewhere between 5 and 10. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Right, number 9.
I'll go first. My number 9 is 2015's The Martian. Which I really like. It's very exciting and easy to digest, much like the book. There's some lovely, memorable moments. Also, important honorable mention for potatoes.
Potatoes.
The element of that film. Yeah. Boil them, mash them, grow them on Mars.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's missed off my list completely.
Yeah, that's off my list.
More by accident.
Intentionally for me, because I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the book.
Yeah, no, I really did.
Fair enough. I saw the film first, then read the book, and enjoyed both.
Okay. My number 9. This is Looper.
Oh, what?
Ooh,
yeah.
Really? Seen it?
Yeah, really like Looper.
Good movie.
Yeah.
That was. I suppose I should have put it in as an honorable mention. That was in the running and then fell off the end.
Yeah, it was. It was one that kind of got knocked down the list a few times when I thought of other things, because it was initially higher up. But it deals with time travel in a really good way, and of course it's got one of the greatest actors of all time in it.
Hayden Christensen.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I was thinking of Bruce Willis, but okay, cool. And also directed by Ryan Johnson. Yeah, just to prove that he can actually do something good.
My number 9 is Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
Purely
film.
because I watched it. It's not the best one I've ever seen, but it did make me want to Baymax. So
Yeah. Well, in that case, I'll go straight on to number 8 because my number 8 is Big Hero 6.
ooh,
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a good, fun, kids kind of adult-y sci-fi.
my number 8 is 2017's Blade Runner 2049.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good film.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you miss that, Tom?
I've missed it off my list.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It will come up
It's
again.
kind of interesting that I missed it off. Okay, fine. All right, never mind.
What's your 8, Tom?
Number 8, Gravity. Alphonse
Oh,
Cuarón's
yeah.
film from
Yeah.
2013. Sandra Bullock
Yeah.
acting a little heart out.
Yeah, that one got knocked down by a few other things, but yeah,
That's
it's an
one of the-
honourable mention for me.
It's probably the only sort of film which I make an exception of, as that was the fashion in the kind of the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
That every blockbuster film had to have a soundtrack that was effectively just wow the whole fucking film.
Cool. Right, number 7 for me then is 2010's Predators.
Ooh.
It's
Okay.
Really?
long have I wished for a follow-up Predator film which was actually half good or half decent. Predators, I think
Predator 2.
yeah, Predator 2 is good, but after AVP, Requiem, AVP, all absolute bags of shite.
Yeah.
Predators,
Okay.
just a good action film, and I can watch it a lot without getting bored of it. There's some really good lines in it as well. One of the con in there who goes, "When I get home, I'm going to do so much cocaine." There's some really good lines in it.
I think that somewhere along the line I've got confused because there was another one. There was the Predator, wasn't there? And then Predators. And I think somewhere in my mind they've got mashed up because the Predator wasn't very good.
The Predator was the most recent one, and it is absolute horseshit. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think somewhere in my mind I've managed to conflate the two together and just ignore it completely. Probably want to add to my list.
Was Predators the one where a group of people was suddenly like portaled into a jungle? Yeah.
Predators is the one. Predators is a really great. I think it's a really great film, and all the way up until when they meet the Lawrence Fishburne character, and he's really spooky and weird. And then and then it starts to reveal some of the story, and then it's like the script writers kind of went, oh no, I'm bored now. I need to wipe my ass with this instead of writing a script. And the film just does that, like narratively. He just decides, I think it's problematic, but I support your decision to
have that on my list.
Yeah, that's good. That's a
list.
bold one. That's good.
Are we on 7?
Yeah.
Source Code.
Oh yeah, that didn't quite make my list.
Duncan Jones film. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Yeah, good way of kind of slightly different way of tackling the time travel genre, and a thoughtful ending without giving anything away to a film that was released nearly a decade ago. Spoilers.
Yeah, to be fair, mine it was a choice between having Source Code at number 10 or Inception for me. But.
That's good.
I'd have chosen Source Code probably, but that's because I'm Nolan grumpy. I'm Nolan averse these days. Cool. My number 7 is from 2018. It's 2018. It's a film called Annihilation. Have you seen that one?
I have seen that.
That's on my list to watch. I never got around to it.
You know what? It's a weird one. It's sci-fi horror with that kind of awe factor, and it clearly draws on influences like I suppose you'd say Tarkovsky, like films like Stalker and things like that. And it's kind of this kind of man versus nature thing. It's not like structurally the best film ever. I think maybe I've only watched it once, but on only watching it once, elements of it really stayed with me, and it has that sense of awe in it that I really want from sci-fi. I don't know.
That sense of awe? Cool.
That's my number 7.
Number 6 then. Number 6. Have I written down the wrong one here? No, I haven't. Number 6. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
The second one. That is. Dawn is the second one, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I've got the right one.
Rise the first one.
Yeah, Rise. Yeah, Rise is the first one. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Rise is a great film. Dawn just takes it to that next level. War for the Planet of the Apes was great, but I think Dawn is probably the best of the trilogy for me.
That was on my list and got bumped off. Probably only because I struggled to remember which film is which. And that no, I don't mean that. I don't mean that sounds a bit shit, but like I think it says something about the films that they just become a bit mushed in my head. Although I had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and I had that same thought that you did. Which one is the best one? That one is better, and they are exciting.
It's got
It's a good film.
It's got some really good scenes between the apes. And it is
Really
just
believe that monkeys can have meetings.
yeah seriously, it's incredible the CGI in it.
Andy Serkis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where are we? Number 6. Shall I do my number 6?
Yeah.
Please.
Ooh, number 6. I'm going for Europa Report. You seen this?
Not seen
It's
that.
been on my list to watch.
I'm not surprised nobody's seen it. I kind of watched it almost accidentally. It's such an innocuous title, but it has the feel. So no spoilers then, because you haven't watched it. But it has very much has the feel of a sort of a classic space sci-fi story, like an Arthur C. Clarke story. And it is the story of a mission to Europa.
Yeah,
and it's pretty gripping stuff.
I saw the trailer for it when it came out, and I thought that looks absolutely amazing. It looks definitely a film I want to see. And then for one reason or another, I just forgot about it until I started researching for this, and I looked at it. Oh shit, I've completely forgotten about it. So yeah, it's on my list to watch.
Cool.
My number 6 is The Book of Eli.
Oh, okay.
Gary Oldman, Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Enough said.
But Denzel.
And obviously the heart-achingly beautiful Mila Kunis as well. So.
I've heard good things about that film.
It is good, yeah. I'd recommend it.
It's a good
film.
Yeah.
We're turning into a really good review show.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
I watched
it's
this
very
one and I liked
sci-fi.
Yeah,
It's really
It's
good
good.
film.
I heard it was good.
Wow.
Yeah, crank out your Die Hard 4 review again.
Watch it when you're pissed, mate.
Man has fist fight with jet plane.
Yeah.
I love that film. I just do. It's my guilty pleasure. Fourth Die Hard movie is good bad.
Good.
All
Anyway.
right, we're on to number 5 then.
Rich,
to
you
give us
can
number
join us
5.
now.
Beard Finney can join in.
5.
Oh, Rich,
Five.
sorry, I didn't see you there.
Hello there.
Hello there.
So mine, obviously, because I'm stupid and tired, my 5 are going to be out of sync with yours, aren't they? But
We should probably explain that the reason Rich is tired, audience, is that he had a baby recently. Well, not him, but his partner did. So,
although if you saw me, you might believe that it was actually me that had it.
you are a baby. That you've only just emerged, blinking and terrified.
Do you want to tell the listeners about your baby experience so far?
I would say it is a traumatic and bewildering experience.
Because I'm sitting here quite smug with my 3 kids, who the youngest of which is now 10. Who doesn't need any nappy changing, doesn't wake up in the night and all that kind of thing.
You're next on that list, Jason. To be fair, aren't you? So
I've always said that I want to live long enough for my children to change my nappy at least once. When they're finished, it just go.
Always
Just
said
go,
that.
Wow, your turn, and then die.
it wouldn't traumatise.
Hashtag life goals.
Yeah.
So that's
Anyway, enough about our lives.
So that's about that.
Your lives.
So I only picked 5, obviously. So I actually stuck Gravity in at number 5.
That's cool.
Okay.
Just, I mean, you covered it really. It looked great at the time. I haven't watched it recently. I don't know how, because it's effectively all CGI completely, isn't it? I don't know how it would stand up now, but good. I did enjoy it at the time.
Yeah.
You know, there's only 2 people in it, or 1, depending on how, or 1.5, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining throughout. I always think it's really clever when they can focus on, a really, just a tiny set of characters. If you're still watching that and enjoying it at the end, I think that was. I thought it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
And even with George Clooney, who I like, but for some reason, whenever I see him in a film, I think it brings a little bit of a. I just see him as a TV actor. and I don't think he fits in many films. I know that sounds really weird. There are a couple of exceptions which I think are brilliant, like From Dusk Till Dawn. He really does fit the Danny Ocean character, but loads of other stuff he's in.
So apart from all those films he's in where he's a good film actor, he's not a good film actor.
it's just a personal thing. When I see him in a film, I kind of think, oh, that's the kind of thing that I would watch late at night on telly and not go to the cinema for. But I think I actually did see Gravity in the cinema, and he was very good, and Simon Bullock was very good.
Are you saying that you would prefer watching George Clooney late at night with the curtains drawn? And...
only if it's on a DVD that I bought from a CEX shop.
Cool.
Yeah, so Gravity, my number 5.
Number 5.
Nice.
It's a good film. My number 5, just because there was a silence and I thought I'd fill it. Blade Runner 2049. Yeah. Do you know what? Going back to what Tom said earlier, it's another film. I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, a little bit like Die Hard 4. I was a bit drunk when I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a theme emerging.
It's not a film to watch drunk. Good Lord.
No, I wasn't very drunk, but I was drunk enough to kind of.
You do realise that if you're drunk all the time, then you can just whatever you do, you'll be drunk when you're doing it. You get that.
Is it too early for gin? No, I don't know why, but somehow I feel like the little bit of tipsiness on top aided my viewing of it, and like every single it opened my mind a little bit, and it was just an incredibly good film.
Okay.
Yeah.
More headlines to add.
Okay, mine. My number 5 is 2011's The Thing.
Interesting.
Wow.
Ooh, okay.
Wow, okay.
Interesting, because I only watched that the other day. I just need to check very quickly.
We watched it together, Finney, but I'm glad you remembered that.
Now, I didn't. I've now remembered that.
This is on one of your little nerd camp retreats.
No.
That was when
you
Dave
sit
was
in a
around
hot
here
tub
late
together.
at night.
That's
watching CEX videos. That was.
No, I really like it. I think it's set just before the original one starts. When this one ends, the original film starts. I think they fit together really well.
Is it not a remake?
No.
It actually does both. It is a sequel. It is a prequel. Sorry, but it has been written cleverly in that it could be seen as a remake or a reboot.
There's absolutely no spoilers in this, but this one it ends. Its ending is interwoven into the beginning of the first original thing.
I always just assumed it was one of those bollocks shit for shit, shot for shot remakes.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Although I have to admit, I thought that it just really I thought it just recovered everything that the first one had already done. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't think this is amazing. But mainly because of the first one.
So let's. I don't want to be crushing anybody's hopes and dreams here, but so first thing,
isn't that the point of doing this podcast?
Yeah, sure. First thing to say, John Carpenter's The Thing is and always will be in my top 3 films of all time, point blank. So you're saying that I've tried to watch this film once, and I thought they're just pissing on something that's incredibly important to me as a film, so I can't be bothered with it. So I probably didn't give it a fair shake of the maracas, so to speak. But compared to John Carpenter's The Thing, it's just completely superfluous. That film is perfect. I mean, it's a perfect film. So I really struggle to see how you could add to it or why you'd want to. I just think trying to reimagine it is totally unnecessary.
Well, to be fair, I mean, obviously this one would not get in my top chart of favourite films of all time. It wouldn't get anywhere near to it. But as it was your idea to veto Star Wars DC, I've got to fill this list with something.
Films that are released on a Wednesday, films with men and women in the same scene.
Yeah.
All seems a bit derivative.
Fair enough.
I thought it was an acceptable TV version of another very, very good film, which I have to agree with Tom. The first one just does make it unnecessary. If you hadn't seen the first one, you do actually.
We should also say it's not. It's not the first one. It's not. It's itself a remake of
itself, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I would.
And wasn't that of a book as well?
Yeah.
Who Goes There? Is that the name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember who wrote the book.
I
Yeah.
just recommend watching them back to back, and then it will obviously make you enjoy the second one a lot more, or the original
Yes,
a lot more.
that'd
But
be
it does also, it gives you
Yeah.
a bit more of an appreciation for this
Yeah.
re-release. So.
Yeah, I think if you hadn't seen the first one at all, you would get similar vibes from watching that one. But you wouldn't. I'd have to go back on what I said to Jason the other day, which is you're not allowed to watch things out of order. If you are going to watch them, you'd have to watch that prequel first, because otherwise you'd be massively disappointed.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Using the Star Wars universe, by the way, going back to that conversation, using the Star Wars universe as saying you can't watch things out of order, probably wasn't the biggest move. Right, number 4.
Okay. Hang on, I haven't done my number 5
Oh,
yet.
sorry, Tom. Beg your pardon.
Sorry.
Has everybody else done the number 5? I've lost track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
My number 5 is Pacific Rim 2013, Guillermo del Toro. Robots versus monsters.
God,
Is this on anybody else's list?
I haven't.
No.
haven't
nowhere
seen
near
it.
to my list.
Wow.
Nowhere near.
The premise of it just made me stay away.
Awful.
Yeah,
You
same.
haven't seen Pacific
No,
Rim?
No,
I've not watched it because it looks bollocks.
It is
Are
absolutely.
you
awful.
kidding me?
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Pacific
looks-
Rim, the first one.
Yeah, it looks like big things fighting other big things.
Wow. How brilliant. Guys,
and-
you're all wrong.
No.
Totally wrong. It's a great film. It's an
Idris
excellent
Elba-
film.
Idris Elba aside, the biggest premise of this film is big aliens coming out of the water and big robots fighting big aliens in the water and doing wrestling moves on the big aliens into the water that doesn't damage them.
See,
in
that's
fucking
what
fighters.
the marketing
That really
told me the
annoyed
film
me.
was about. So that's
Yeah.
why I didn't watch it.
You're saying those words in that order in that sentence as if that is a negative thing to say about this film. When
It is.
I'm hearing this and I'm like, yes, correct. These are all the reasons why it's wonderful.
It just annoyed me so much. And even like an almost an Independence Day-esque rallying speech by Idris Elba's character at the end isn't enough. 90% of the way through the movie, they go, "Oh, by the way, we've got this giant fucking awesome laser sword, which is really good. Why didn't you use that at the first part of the film when all of your mates were getting slaughtered?" Yeah, I just didn't enjoy it.
I can't remember. Yeah, sure. I mean, it probably has some story holes in the way a film like that is bound to. The brilliant things about Pacific Rim, it is visually stunning, as you would expect from a Guillermo del Toro movie. The kind of the visual language has been talked about a lot. The use of color, tying the characters' stories together, is brilliant. It is a quintessential giant robots versus giant monsters movie, and that has a lot of resonance as a kind of. It has resonance as a genre piece for that reason. I don't think there's been a movie that has big robots in it that's been better before or since.
Well, are you going to
because-
just shoot down robot jocks?
Yeah,
That's like
that's what I was about to mention. Sort of robot jocks in like 1980.
we can talk about robot jocks. Robot jocks. Have you tried to watch it recently? Not in childhood.
No.
You know what? It
I have
doesn't
watched it
stand
about
up
10
very
years
well.
ago. It doesn't. If you reset your mind to when you first watched it, then it's amazing. But
But Pacific Rim is great because the robots, and this is a reason why, for example, the second Pacific Rim film was shit, because it did
It was
what all
awful.
those sequels do.
Takes out
Completely
big
missed the
monsters.
point of what worked in the first one, which is the robots are big, they have weight, they are big and powerful, and the monsters are slightly bigger and more dangerous and more powerful. So there's like a real, there's a real sense that even though these guys are like cool, amazing pilots, and they have the most powerful machines man ever built, that they are still slightly outclassed all the time. It balances that threat really well, and making a giant robot in CGI look like it actually is as big and heavy as it is, and then making it look cool is not an easy thing to do. If it was, then there'd be loads of great films like this, and there isn't. Most of them are shit. Point to fucking Michael Bay's dreadful efforts, one after the other. This film does that stuff right.
You know what?
That's why it's good.
I think the Transformers, Transformers, the Godzilla film that's come out, all of these kind of big thing versus big thing films. It's just,
well, Daisy,
to
you're a
me,
Godzilla
the
fan,
marketing
aren't
for Pacific Rim just seemed like it was more of the same, and I couldn't be bothered.
you? Yeah, that's right. That's what failed me, was the marketing.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to see it, but based on what you've said and you put it so highly, it's probably worth checking out, which I suppose is one of the
It's
great
directed by
things.
Guillermo del Toro, guys. If that wasn't enough to make you think, oh, maybe that is worth a watch, then well,
Yeah.
I'm glad what I've said is. But that's
Jason-
your mistake, not the film's.
Jason, can I just say, if you don't like the big thing versus big thing genre, can I recommend one of my DVDs behind me of Mega Python versus Gatoroid? And that will change your mind.
If only that had been released in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It still wouldn't get in my list.
I've got a soft spot in my heart for Two-Headed Shark.
I've got loads
Don't
of
know if
shark
you-
films.
I like
Have you
that
got
first album.
Two-Headed Shark? Is
I've
brilliant.
not seen that one. I'd recommend. So we're getting off the tangent here. I'd recommend Ghost Shark.
I've seen
Because
that.
the premise of Ghost Shark is it's obviously a ghost shark and it can appear in any source of water. There's one
hang
scene
on,
where
I think I've seen that
yeah,
with you as
there's
well.
yeah,
I'm
there's
like-
one where there's
Yeah,
two
I've
girls in a
seen it.
jacuzzi and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
forms in the bottom of the jacuzzi and then just sort of
Yeah.
comes up as an attack from below and eats both
Yeah.
of them in the jacuzzi.
But it
Quite
doesn't,
I have
it,
to
doesn't, it doesn't like physically manifest. It's just
No.
like a
It is a ghost.
projection wherever
Yeah.
it attacks. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
My
Shark and a
my
ghost.
knowledge of these
Yeah.
type of films suggests that those two girls in the jacuzzi were either semi-naked or about to start kissing each other
No, they were just
when the shark
in
attack happened.
bikinis.
All
Just
right.
in bikinis.
They're just hanging out. Daisy,
Yeah.
I have
It's
to
not-
say, Daisy, I have to say, I don't know if you do dating online or have a dating profile, but if you do have a dating profile, then I must insist that you have one line description of yourself that says, "I've got loads of shark films," because
I have.
my name's Daisy. I've got loads of shark films. That will get you dates upon dates upon dates.
I must admit, when I don't have a dating profile at the moment, when I did have one on Plenty of Fish, my tagline at the top, and it was basically there as almost like bait to say, you know, if a girl knows the answer to this and gets in touch with me, then I know I'm going to marry her. And it was the tagline, "What is best in life?"
You
No
see
one.
your enemies living before you.
Exactly.
The other limitations.
Oh,
of the-
Bless your
So
enemies.
Finney's my ideal wife by the sound of it. But yeah, I never got
Yeah,
any
we knew
replies.
that.
Anyway,
Right.
right,
Information.
that's
All right. We spent a lot of time on number 5. We're
Yeah.
rambling
Yeah,
as ever, but
we are.
who cares?
Let's go to number 4.
number
4. Who wants to kick off number 4?
I'll go number 4.
Go.
My choice again is from 2010. It's Troll Hunter.
Do you know what? I was going to pick that, and I thought it's not a sci-fi film, so I didn't put it in.
It's kind of branches out across a few genres.
Is
this
it
one.
sci-fi?
It does. It is put in the sci-fi genre along with a few.
I
other
really
ones.
enjoyed it, so I'm glad you
Yeah.
mentioned it. But
It
I
was
thought
on the
I wouldn't be allowed
Wikipedia list, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
Was
yeah,
it?
I'm not sure.
If you haven't seen it, have you guys here all seen it?
No.
I have, yeah.
I haven't seen it. No.
Really good.
Definitely, it's a Norwegian film and it's
Yeah.
it's subtitled. Don't let that put you off if you don't like subtitled films. I really heartily recommend it. It's one of those films that you think this looks weird, and then you watch and you think I actually really enjoyed that.
It shouldn't work at all. So on paper, it's like it's like subtitles, and everyone's like, oh god. B, it's about trolls, and C, it's like a found footage film. And you look at those two things and go, oh my god, I'm never going to watch that. You should definitely.
Definitely, it was a big
Really
surprise to me when I
entertaining,
watched it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It's added.
Troll
It's on the
Hunter.
list.
Okay, nice. Cool.
My number 4, really quick. Sorry,
yeah.
Tom, I'm going to jump in. 'Cause
No.
Mine's been mentioned already. Inception.
I remember enjoying that and not really understanding what on earth was happening.
Did you work out the ending meaning, whether it was reality or a dream?
I've swayed. I've read various things and I've watched it and I've come up with different theories each time I watch it. It's one of those, and the thing is, I don't think to me, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's reality or not. It's a bit like the first Blade Runner.
It doesn't matter to me either, but probably for different reasons.
Yeah.
I've got one that I read,
Sarcasm.
and one that I kind of noticed myself. In the one I noticed myself is that every time it's a dream, I need to make sure I explain this the right way.
Mhm.
Every time it's a dream, he's
The top.
wearing a watch,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
then
I've heard that one as
then
well.
in reality, he's not wearing a watch.
Yeah.
And at the end of the film, he's not wearing a watch.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the one I read is that Michael Caine's character, he came out and told an interviewing team that interviewed him that every time he's in a scene, it's real and not a dream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what he was told by the director, apparently. So.
Oh, cool.
It probably surprises no one, having made some derisive comments, but I think Inception is massively overrated. It didn't make my top
So's
10.
your face.
Yeah, that's fair. Like that thing about the end. Oh, was it a dream? Was it not? I have an instinctive kind of visceral, unpleasant reaction to a film which is kind of trying to force me to be
To
intrigued.
think.
by a spinning top.
That's why I didn't like Arrival. If any of you guys have seen that, 'cause it's just bumming non-linear time. It's like, I'll get over yourself.
Hold your horses.
I didn't. Yeah,
Oh
okay.
dear.
All right.
Oh dear.
Yeah, hold your horses on that.
Oh.
Inception. I'm not Nolan's biggest fan.
We
But
gathered.
I do think it's overrated.
I am a big Nolan fan. You're gonna enjoy this list.
Enjoy arguing on this list.
All right, so number 4. Rich, have you got a number 4?
Yeah, I put The Martian in at number 4. I really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was again, it was a film that works very well when it's only concentrating on one character. All the CGI and stuff was brilliant. I don't know what does everyone else think of Matt Damon? I know there's the general
he's
Matt
good.
Damon memes, but I think he's pretty good in
It's good.
limited
Yeah.
stuff I've seen him in. And I thought he was really well cast for that. And it was. I mean, it was an exciting film, but there were like some real sort of human and humorous and sort of anxious moments in it, which I really
I like it. There's just a bit they didn't incorporate from the book, which I would have liked them to, where he uses as sort of digit referral points. He invents the phrases. It's space ninjas.
Right.
To quantify an amount of something, and that's in the book, which I quite like. But they didn't put that in the film, which would have been quite funny. But
maybe it's in the sequel.
The more we talk about it, the more I'm annoyed it's not in my top 10.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good film. It's that nice sci-fi sweet spot in that it's exciting and it's cool and spectacular, but it's kind of believable.
That's
right. The story is, the problems are solved with science and with being clever, and the characters like Bill Pullman, like his character, they demonstrate qualities that you want to see in characters in those films, like leadership and taking time over decisions. One of the bit that really stands out for that film for me is, I think, I'm going to fuck this up now 'cause it's been a while since I've seen it, but there's like the Japanese scientists who are discussing the problems that the Martians have and say, this should be a discussion between scientists. Let's not politicize it.
Yeah.
And I really like that the film has those kind of elements. They
I kind of forgot about the whole supporting cast in that film, because I was just thinking of it as a sort of a character study of one guy. But there's all the rest of his crew as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I've forgotten sort of that side of it as well. Really good. I might have to watch that again very, very soon.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same. Right,
Tom? Number 4. Okay, number 4. My number 4. No, it's not sci-fi. I apologise, it's not sci-fi, but it's such a good film I had to include it. It does have some suitably fantastic elements.
Is it the Peppa Pig movie?
Yes, it's Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig's there. Her face is always to one side. She's got 2 eyes. It freaks me out.
Enough.
Is it Pacific Rimmers?
It's pronounced specific Rimmers. No.
Only available at CEX, folks.
That's not how you spell sex. It's 2012, Cabin in the Woods. It's the other Joss Whedon film from 2012.
That is brilliant.
It's a horror
and
film.
It's not sci-fi, and you're not allowed it like Daisy isn't allowed Troll Hunter, but it is brilliant.
Yeah, the same year.
Sci-fi. It is a little bit sci-fi.
It kind of is a bit, isn't it? Because there's some weird technology going on, but it's fundamentally horror. And it's a deconstruction of the kind of the Cabin in the Woods slasher film. But it's just brilliant. And if anybody, but it was 2000. It was May 2011. Came out in 2012. It was in the cinema at the same time as the first Avengers film. So Joss Whedon just kind of took over cinemas that year. It's a fabulous film. If you haven't watched it, for God's sake, watch it.
It's another one on my list. I didn't watch it at the time because I assumed it was just literally called Cabin in the Woods. I assumed it was a Cabin in the Woods horror slasher film.
Do you know, that's what I thought.
I can't be bothered with that.
And that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed my first viewing of it so much. I just caught it on satellite or wherever it was. I didn't watch it at the cinema. It was one of those late night things. I thought, well, I'll just sit. When you can't be asked to go to bed, so I didn't know that it was going to have that twist in it. And it was brilliant. And the other film that actually happened to me somehow, and I'm so glad it did happen, was way back in the day. That happened to me with From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
I had no idea of I thought I was watching a Tarantino standard,
I did the exact same
movie.
thing with that.
Yeah.
And it suddenly kicks off, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck
Yeah.
is happening?" Right.
Any more number 4s?
No, that's it. We've done the number 4s.
Oh my gosh!
Before we do our top 3s, should we take the piss out of some of our friends and
Yeah, why not?
some
That's
of
what
the
we're all
things
here
that
for.
they've come up with?
Let's see
Right.
Yeah, go for it.
So we've got about 9 responses. Not too bad. I'll start off with some of the nice ones where we'll be nice. Saul Burton, who's become a bit of a fan of our show. He's the lad who made that very disturbing image.
The big toe.
The big toe picture, yeah.
I love that.
But his top 5 is The Martian, in descending order. The Martian, Arrival, Mad Max Fury Road, and I Am Mother at number 2. Now, I've not seen that.
I've not seen that.
I really recommended it, yeah. And number 1 is Blade Runner.
We'll allow it.
Duncan Duncan is the one who instigated this whole thing, isn't he? So
Yes, yeah, mine and Finney's run, yeah.
yeah, Duncan has put at number 5, Dread, Troll Hunter at number 4. You're gonna love this though, Tom, because his top 2 is number 2, Interstellar, and number 1, Inception.
Times
I won't read all of them out, but Josh Benson.
My nephew.
Is that your nephew?
That is my nephew.
So Josh Benson has got Predators at number 5, and number 1 has Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, I'm gonna have to have a serious word with him.
Andy Head,
serious chat with him.
Andy Head, who we all know, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
He's put Deadpool in at number 5. If you allow it. No, we don't.
No, we don't allow it,
Andy. So fuck off.
Yeah, Andy.
And I Am number 4. He's put I Am number 4 at number 1. I don't know if he's just got confused there. Anyway, I'll do some number 1s really quickly. Anna Muschin, Apollo 18. Trek Lad and Gillian Francis have both put Under the Skin as their number 1. My old school friend Nick Maxton Smith has somehow put Moon into number 2, but even though it was released in 2009.
That would have been high if it had been in this decade.
If it was that decade, Moon would be my number 1, quite frankly.
But as it stands, no points. Get out of the classroom.
Yeah. But then
stand in the corridor and think about what you've done.
I feel like we have to spend some time talking about this this person called Adam Hayden.
Oh,
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know if you guys
don't give him the spotlight.
I don't know if you guys have heard of him. I don't know who he is. I deny all knowledge. He's actually put Rise of Planet of the Apes at number 1.
Can I just ask a quick question? Does he look more or less like Bruce Willis than you do?
Yes.
He probably looks.
Both more. He's Schrodinger's
What
Bruce
do you mean?
Willis.
Hang on, he's nothing to do with me. I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He's actually put Rise of the Planet of the Apes at number 1. Kung Fury at number 4.
Not sci-fi.
No.
That's too far out.
His number 5 film is Prometheus.
Oh.
Well, that's just rendered the rest of his choices completely irrelevant, isn't it? So
terrible choices.
Daisy, can we replace for 1 week? Can we replace your Death Star laser with a giant rolling spaceship? And Adam would be forced to run in front of you.
To be fair,
in a straight line.
Obviously, I would like the podcast. We need to garner more attention, but I don't think we're as yet at the numbers where we can kill off our fans or listeners. So we'll reserve that until later on in the future.
He told me
until we've got 20 listeners in that, and then.
Yeah. I thought. Sorry, did you just say something in Alien?
He did, yeah.
Yes, I did. For the listeners at home, I drew my finger across my throat and made a throat slice noise, which is just great radio.
I'll be perfectly honest with you here. My brother told me the other day he's never listened to the podcast. So, yeah, kill away, quite frankly.
Kill away.
Yeah. So there you go. There's we had a couple of other people. Claire Morgan, one of our fans, said she couldn't nominate anything because she just wanted to put all the Marvel, Star Trek, DC stuff on there.
Yep, get outside the class.
Yeah. I personally, I would like to have seen someone try and put any of the Star Trek films released in the last decade on that list because
I could easily.
What?
I could quite easily.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
you say Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Oh, sorry, Star Wars. Yeah, Star Trek can fuck.
Trek
can fuck off into the darkness.
Jesus, Into Darkness is one of the worst films I think I've ever seen. Full stop.
That's why I said it can fuck off into darkness.
Yeah.
When was the
Beyond
original reboot?
2009.
Okay.
2009. Yeah,
that is a very.
That
fun,
would have probably been in my top 10
Yeah.
had we not
Yeah.
had the
100%. But the other
the
two are bollocks.
franchise.
And can
Yeah,
fuck off.
they're bad films.
Yes. So sorry, Claire. Right. Shall we move on to our top threes then?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Why the hell not?
Making noise with my mouth. All right, podcast listeners, it's time for the top 3 films of 2010 to 2019. Everybody's picked their top 3 favorites, and we're going to run through them now. Great. God, I've run out of energy. Sorry.
No, that was good.
That was exhausting.
Yeah.
How do we want to do this? Are we going to go around again? Everybody's
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what we're doing is we're just carrying on as we were.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It's thrilling stuff.
I can imagine anyone listening to this is on the edge of their seat right now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're about
Trying to
to
get away. Yeah.
we wouldn't want to disappoint them.
Very,
Right,
very bored.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first with my number 3.
Do it.
Tom won't like this. My number 3 is Interstellar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this for many reasons. Well, not for many reasons. That's a lie. I like it for a few reasons. I think the musical score to this by Hans Zimmer is fucking incredible. Yeah, really does add a lot of gravitas to the film. I like the fact Dr. Kip Thorne, who is the physicist and experimental physicist behind the film, where possible, they strictly had to follow the laws of physics, and any speculation in the film had to be based on potential scientific method, not as he said, but not what came out of the screenwriter's brain.
Yeah.
So I that's one of I do like it, and I think it's a good film.
Mm-hmm.
It's
enjoyed it,
really hard sci-fi, but I'm going to not say much about it yet.
Fair enough. I will. I'll reserve my comments until I've said enough about Nolan's films. I have some thoughts on that, but I'll wait until everybody's done there.
Yeah. Sorry, a quick addendum as well. I was surprised because usually with Matthew McConaughey, I struggle to watch his films. I kind of go into a trance when I listen to his voice. I don't know if that's a weird crush thing or just
it's a sex thing. Yeah.
It might be a sex thing. It might be. It might just be his voice is on a frequency that just makes me go to sleep. But yeah. Regardless, I enjoyed the film even though he was in it for a lot.
Yeah, Interstellar was around about the same time as the first series of True Detective, wasn't it? And it was this sudden. I saw it referred to as the reconnaissance of his career.
Okay.
Yeah. So he suddenly went from being this kind of pretty boy rom-com actor who occasionally tried to do something gritty but failed, to suddenly being very, very good. I don't know what happened, but he suddenly became very good at his craft.
I tell you what happened. He won an Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club.
Yes.
I want to say the year before, but I could be completely wrong about that.
I can't remember, but yeah, it was around about the same time.
That was the Matthew reconnaissance.
The reconnaissance, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next choice.
Rock and roll. Right, I'll do my number 3 because you're really going to enjoy this. My number 3 is a film from 2014. It stars Tom Cruise, and it is Edge of Tomorrow. Live, Die, Repeat.
Go on, Daisy.
I think less of you as a human being.
I thought this would make me some friends. Edge of Tomorrow, guys. I have rewatched that film so many times. I like Tom Cruise anyway. I think he does great stuff. I think he's arguably the best big movie blockbuster actor there is.
What?
And
I'll say best actor under 5'5". That's as far as I'm willing to go.
There's nobody else who can do what he does as a performer. I'd say he's about 60% of a Jackie Chan in terms of what he can and will actually do in his films.
In height. That's rich coming for all of us because we're all below average height.
But I'm right. I mean, we could talk about the Mission Impossible films. We're not going to because it's not really on our wheelhouse. But Edge of Tomorrow is a great sci-fi film. It does an excellent job of dealing with some timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly weirdness. It fits together, pretty much flawlessly. I think I can't think of any gaffes or bits of it that aren't actually kind of coherent within the film. The monsters, the weird monstrous things are scary and exciting and look great, and it still looks great now. The action's fantastic. I just think it's a brilliant sci-fi film. It's the sort of film I want to watch when I go and see a sci-fi blockbuster. It's intelligent enough, it's exciting enough, it's well paced. I love it.
Finney, Finney, have you got your
my third? I would put the Blade Runner sequel in third position. We've more or less talked about it. It does rely for nostalgia from the first one, but if you loved the first one and you loved the way it was shot and you loved the feel of that film, then this is it's not better, probably not quite as good, but for it not to be, I think it was relief that it wasn't a complete disaster. That's one thing. But I just loved the way it was shot. I loved the way the film felt. It felt like old school filmmaking, the way that most of the scenes were shot without cameras that you struggle to track. It was one thing that did confuse me a bit was that I didn't really gel with who's the main chap. Is it Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling, yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
I didn't think he did a bad job for it. I don't know if it's just he played it well, but I don't really get him. I think
it's difficult to watch
a
Ryan Gosling
all that,
film.
It all came together. I really enjoyed it.
It's difficult sometimes to watch a Ryan Gosling film without seeing Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
in it, but this is probably
he's right there, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's right there in all the scenes that he's in,
not eating his cereal.
But this is one of those times I think where he transcended Ryan Gosling a little bit.
He did, and
he became a full goose.
I love the feel of it. I love the fact that they still didn't force you to decide whether Deckard was a replicant or not, which I'm of the opinion that he isn't. If we want to have that argument at some point,
he's a replicant.
That is a whole other podcast.
It was comprehensively answered in the director's cut. And the things Ridley Scott said about it.
What I love about Blade Runner, the cinematography is stunning, isn't it?
It is stunning.
Yeah, I know. It's directed by Denis Villeneuve, isn't it? But I can't think off the top of my head who the cinematographer was. But it is just out of this world.
It is.
Oh, it's
I can't remember who it is.
He has done some big films.
Give us a quick IMDb, Tom.
It's Brian Blessed.
I'm doing it. I'm all over it.
Brian Blessed.
Keep talking though.
Brian Blessed is the cinematographer behind Blade Runner 2049. You hit it here.
Yeah. I like his other work as well. The cinematography Brian Blessed did on Skyfall, really good.
La 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 la. These are the
actually,
actors.
it wasn't the same guy, was it? Did Skyfall? Oh,
just checking now. Yeah. Roger Deakins.
Yes.
It is Skyfall. Yeah,
it is
absolutely
Skyfall.
right.
It's the same guy. Oh, he is literally. I can't remember his name, but he's literally one of my favourite cinematographers. The things that man does with the camera.
Okay, cool.
When I've remembered his name, the things that guy does with the camera is extraordinary.
He's done a lot of Coen Brothers stuff.
That's another late night film.
Can I give my number 3 while I'm on a roll?
Yes.
Ex Machina.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Okay. I love that film.
Yes, sir. I can boogie.
Yes. You know, we had that conversation a while ago, and we were talking about when you're watching things in this day and age, it's really difficult sometimes. If a film doesn't immediately grab your attention, you'll pick up your phone, you'll check something else, and that kind of thing. This is one of those films where I was just glued to the screen the entire time. It is proper sci-fi. It is very sci-fi. There are themes about AI, about power and manipulation, surveillance, the control of data. I was looking at some IMDb stuff just to refresh my memory, and one of the reviewers used the term false intimacy, which I thought was really nice, because the way it kind of puts you in mind of some films like Moon or Silent Running, in the fact that it's got that sort of the tension and the paranoia that kind of sticks. It's a claustrophobic film. You know, you're very, very close to the actors' faces a lot of the time, but many times, particularly with Ava the robot, you are behind a screen, like physically you're behind glass, in terms of where the camera is, and that's where the kind of false intimacy comes from.
I totally agree. I mean, I put this film at number 10 simply because it's been a while since I've seen it, and there were other films that I had more to say about. But I remember really liking this film. This is the film that brought Oscar Isaac to my attention as a brilliant actor, and everything I've seen him in before or since now I view through the lens of his performance in this film because he's brilliant. You're right. It's a very good sci-fi film. It touches on really interesting themes. It's a film of its time in that it is very much about, I think, it's a film about women's bodies and ownership of those bodies, and that ties in, very well with the kind of the classic sci-fi robot themes. But it gives it a bit of a feminist lens as well, which is it's of its time, like all good sci-fi is. And it's as you say, it's gripping. Gripping stuff.
Wow, there was no argument there. Should we do number twos?
Number
twos.
Yeah, I don't mean let's pause and all go for a poo.
Don't need to pause.
Already pooped. Are you not wearing a nappy, Jason? I thought we had this discussion.
No.
Cool. Number 2.
I'm going to make Rich change it. Right, number 2.
Go on,
Who wants
Jason.
to go first?
So should I go? Oh,
yeah.
It's just all me. Right.
You're wrong.
More love to Denis Villeneuve. It's Arrival.
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now, Arrival. How
Top
do you
3,
talk?
really?
Top 2, mate. How do you talk to alien beings when you don't have some magical universal translator?
You bum non-linear time like this film does.
Yes! By learning a new language, it shapes the way that you think. And in this instance, no spoilers, it shapes the way you experience time. That is really, really cool sci-fi. It really blew me away.
I struggle. I have seen this film. I've watched it a couple of times, and I struggle to get beyond that concept because it loves itself a bit too much in that. And it's like, oh right, I get it. It's about non-linear time. Get over yourself in time. Just get on with it.
I've only watched this film once, and do you know what? I had some very kind of strong objections / irritations to it in regards to the story. I did philosophy at university. The first essay I ever wrote was about free will versus determinism, and to me, this film felt like a dull and sort of hackneyed approach to that whole subject, and that makes me sound like a massive intellectual snob, and I probably am. Like I say, I can't actually remember what the exact ins and outs of what I disliked about this film. But if I watched it again, I would only be watching it to remind myself what I didn't like. That's how unimpressed I was with it.
Philosophy graduate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite hard to dump on me for being a philosophy graduate when you've just lauded a film like this and put it in your number 2. There's a little bit of a problem there. That's
to be honest, Tom,
buddy.
I don't think there is ever any difficulty in dumping on someone for being a philosophy graduate, ever. It's just an open goal, isn't it?
To be fair, that rebuttal right there has earned Tom his pizza toppings he had in the introduction. Right,
someone else go.
My number 2 is Priest. Goes in there for me.
Priest.
Paul Bettany, who I love, and Carl Urban, who I love, as opposing forces. What more can you want in a film?
I'm in.
I've seen it.
It's originally based on, and I've got some of them. It's a comic run by a Korean guy called Hyung Min Woo, who's done the film isn't a direct take from the comics. It doesn't adhere to the comics that much, but Paul Bettany's character in this I think it's fucking awesome. And Carl Urban, as we all know, is flawless in anything he does, and he's really good.
Everything he does.
Welcome to Carl Urban.
I base some of these choices on, a film that I could watch over and over and again without getting bored of it, and Priest is one of them for me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I've never watched it.
I've never
watched it.
Number
Number 2, Daisy, and I've never watched it. Well, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, it's a very dark gothic film. It's got a lot of vampires in it, but they're not your generic vampires. They've done it in a different way in this film.
Is it sci-fi?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to take your word for it because I've not seen it. But yeah. Paul Bettany and Carl Urban. Thank you very much. I'm there.
Shall I do my number 2?
Yeah, go for it.
Number 2. Mad Max Fury Road 2015, or as I've written it, Mad Max Jury Road, which I guess is a film about the blockheads in a post-apocalyptic world.
It should really be called Justifiably Angry Furiosa with Mad Max as a car ornament.
Yes, featuring Mad Max a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I will say, I'm gonna hand in one of my geek cards here. I have not yet watched it.
Get out!
I know.
Get out!
Like, you haven't watched Mad Max.
I keep getting out until somebody tells you to stop.
You fucking muppet!
I know.
Why?
I don't know why I haven't watched it. It's not a conscious. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to watch that film. I really want to watch that film, but for some reason, it's just.
You haven't seen that film.
I don't know how it just hasn't happened.
I mean, I've
downloaded it on the iLegal, before it came out on telly. I downloaded it on Sky when I had it then. It's currently on one of some streaming service somewhere, but I just haven't got around to watching it. I don't know how. I'm going to blame my children and my
I've watched it twice.
Because they're not here.
I've watched it twice. It didn't make my top 10 list. You haven't watched it, and then you've put Arrival in as number 2. So what the hell is going on?
Well, okay. What's great about this, genuinely, is that we can agree so strongly on things and disagree so strongly on others. I mean, I mean, it's pretty shocking that it didn't make everybody's top 10 to me, because it's such a good film. Jason, God knows what's going on with you, so I'm so sorry. I can't help you. No one can.
Tom, let's be honest here. I've got 3 children, all of whom are girls. And a wife who's also a female.
And they should all watch this fucking film because
they won't watch the film, and they also watch so much shit on my television.
Jason, I've got a way out of this for you. I've got a way out of this for you. We covered this in a previous podcast, Quote on Torpedoes, where you can just say a line. I won't say a word, but you can say a line from RoboCop, Clarence Boddicker. Just get them all to go away.
I'm just going to talk about it briefly, just to explain why it's so brilliant. It is a seminal film of our generation. There's absolutely no doubt about that. In terms of the filmmaking, if nothing else, in a world of CGI blockbusters, the real star of this film is the stunts and the physical effects. It takes about 10 minutes at the end of it. If you want to sit and watch the credits, about 10 minutes of watching the credits is the stunt performers and drivers who worked on this film. It is so clearly a labour of love in terms of that stuff. That you watch this film and you're just constantly going, "This is real." You have to keep reminding yourself that this is all. You're watching actual cars flip over and hit it, and stuntmen jump on and off things and fire, and every aspect of this film is so hardcore and genuinely staggering. It's also a really great story.
Nolan. It's impressive as Christopher Nolan flipping a truck in The Dark Knight.
That was a really cool scene. That was a really cool.
You love Christopher Nolan.
It's at least as impressive as that. It's far better. It's a great film. It's a great film. There will probably never be another film like it.
I really want to watch it. That's all I can say.
The thing that annoyed me about it the most is if you take Mad Max out of the Mad Max film, you don't miss him in the slightest. It's a good action film. It's just essentially a long car chase. Yeah, I was hoping for more Mad Max, and instead we didn't get.
I
disagree.
I thought it was a really good way to reinvent him. To be honest, so this film is in my remaining ones, and I haven't got it down as number 2, so I might as well just say that. So I would hold it in the sort of esteem that Tom holds it. It took everything that I think I felt about the old Mad Max movies, and it sort of modernized them, but without it doing it in a wanky way. The actual filming felt old school, and it was old school. Yet the actual shooting of it was so clean and so clear. I actually did do something which is a bit poncy, which is I went and saw the black and chrome edition of it when they released that.
I did too, mate.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And
I thoroughly recommend
that was amazing. Well, maybe even better. I don't know, but it works. It works in brilliant color and in black and white. I just thought that I thought offsetting Max actually as a bit more of a sidekick. I know Daisy, that's why he didn't like it, but I thought that was how he could sort of still keep that sort of character relevant in this day and age. Like I will go back and watch Mad Max and Mad Max 2, where he's the ultimate badass and he doesn't really need much help from anyone, and I think that's fine from that era. I don't know whether that would have worked again, just to present that sort of same thing again. So to have him opposite Charlie, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
I don't think.
It was, and it wasn't bogged down in the story was completely retro and escapist, wasn't it? It's just you didn't have to really concentrate on what was going on in it. I didn't think. But yeah, I thought it was ace. I thought it was absolutely ace.
Oh. Have you done your number 2 yet, Finn?
No.
Do you want to do your number 2 and then maybe tell us what your number 1 is afterwards?
We'll talk more, say the same things.
So 2, I've gone for Dread for number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I see where this
Which
is gone.
The thing with this film was it was actually relatively well received. It's just that nobody went to watch it. And if you like the Judge Dredd character and you've got a bit of an affection for the old comic strips, it certainly did a much better job of presenting Dredd than the Stallone effort in 1995. Although those elements of that film I actually enjoy as well. That film actually managed to get across a little bit of the humour, but you couldn't pull it off. This film doesn't really have very much humour. There is a lot of very subtle, sort of very dark, understated humour in it. I think it was just the simplicity of it. If you like the Judge Dredd character, like Dredd hasn't been reinvented for this one, so I'm sort of going against what I said with the last film. But he hasn't been reinvented. You almost you're rooting for Dredd because he's the lawman, but at the same time you could see how ruthless and unadaptable he is. And then opposite him, you have got I can't remember her name. I think it's the
Lena Headey.
Is she from Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 300.
Of course, yeah. So she's like this, super vindictive, ruthless villain who actually, strangely, you still have a bit of sympathy for because of why she's turned out like that. I just thought it was a very, very fun movie. I don't know. With this is one of those movies where I don't really care what people think of it as a piece of cinema. I just enjoyed it, and I thought it was quite true to the source material. So it's in there at number 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yes.
Are we going to guess what your number 1 might be here?
I don't think we have to. I think let's see. Let's see. Have we done all the number 2s?
No, I think we've done all the number 2s.
Right. Who's doing number 1 first then?
Well, let's not do my number 1. Just let's let's have a break.
Okay.
From talking about that film.
Okay.
And there's no point me doing number 1 either, is there? So over to you, Paul.
Dear. Okay, right. I'm gonna upset Tom. My number 1 sci-fi film of the last decade, and it's a film that I have watched numerous times. It is a film that even my wife, who is not a sci-fi fan, loves very, very much. It is Interstellar.
Interstellar. Okay.
Matthew McConaughey, with probably one of the most extraordinary performances I've ever seen him do. Part of his
his McConaughey day.
Thank you. Do you know what? Do you want to see the notes that I've written down for?
No.
Those are the notes I've written down for everything else.
Wow.
Those are my notes. Those are my notes for Interstellar. It just says number 1 Interstellar, because what can I say? It is an absolutely extraordinary sci-fi tale. So in terms of the way that the story ends up, and without giving any spoilers away for a relatively old film, the way
do spoilers.
Okay, so the way that the film ties together nicely in the fact that
the black hole dies.
Humanity saves itself.
Turns out it was love all along.
No, it wasn't love. It was.
Yes, it
humanity.
was.
No, it wasn't. No, you missed the point of the film. It was humanity. It was humanity. Shut up, Huey Lewis.
So anything that can survive the accretion disk is love.
No.
Oh.
So essentially, what it is
That's a good premise for a
it's
film.
humanity. Humanity has essentially saved itself. Shut up!
I can actually see that on the bottom of a poster.
The only thing that can survive the accretion discs. No, but essentially, what they do is the future human beings who have evolved into this state, they create the tesseract, the black hole, with which humanity can work to save itself. They utilize Matthew McConaughey's characters and his love for his child in order to use him to then bring the information back that they need for humanity to get the information to build the anti-gravity devices that they need to eventually escape the dying Earth. So it's not a film about love, but it's a film in which the way love is used by the future of humanity. More than that, though, apart from the story, the effects are stunning. Matt Damon is really good in it as the kind of the mad astronaut. The whole scene where they're trying to dock with the main part of the ship that's spinning, and the way that is achieved is one of the most tense scenes I think I've ever seen. The scenes on the water planet with the giant wave coming towards them, the music, the soundtrack that we've already covered, particularly that scene.
Wow.
Well, no, because it's a lot more subtle.
That's exactly it, Tom. That's exactly it.
Particularly on that scene with the big wave, and you've got the ticking, and each little tick actually represents, I think, something like a week or a month of time on Earth as it is in reality, because of the way that time dilation is happening. Everything ties together very, very nicely, and that is why I love Interstellar.
There's a bit of trivia about the film. Apparently, Dr. Kip Thorne had a bet with Stephen Hawking. I don't know what the bet was. Stephen Hawking lost the bet and apparently had to get a year's subscription to Penthouse magazine.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Yeah, I think the bet was something to do with black holes.
And the power of love. Only love can survive the accretion disc.
That movie is happening. That movie is happening.
It has happened. I mean, it's literally already happened, because that's how time travel works. It
works so well. It even draws out every sentence Matthew McConaughey says. So, I think we know Tom's not a fan of that film. Who's next? Or
I'll say a couple of good things about it. I really like the robots.
Yes.
I think that's cool. I'm totally on board with the authenticity of some of the kind of the visuals and the science elements. I think the black hole looks amazing. It does look cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love the kind of the fact that the singularity is a spherical thing in space. That's really interesting. But it's too Nolanized. Like, I mean, some of the
right, Daisy. What's your number one?
My number one. When I was young, I didn't read all the X-Men comics. I was a massive fan of 2000 AD, so my number one is Dredd.
Amazing!
Wow.
I'm gutted I didn't keep them. I had so many 2000 AD comics when I was young. I loved reading Rogue Trooper. I think Talk Commander, the weird black alien thing.
Talk about it, yes.
And of course,
Judge
Dredd. I think you Carl Urban, everyone knows I love Carl Urban. He has a chin made for Dredd's helmet.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
He's got the perfect Dredd chin. It's a film I could just watch over and over again and not get bored of, which is key for me. It's why it's my number one. I love it. It's awesome.
It is. I mean, it's very true. It's very true to the source material, isn't it? Not just in terms of like the character, but it sort of plays out like a comic strip.
Well, yeah, I mean, originally it was going to be set as a trilogy. There was going to be, if it made enough money, there was going to be the first one. Then there was going to be a prequel film about Mega City, and then the third one was going to be all about Judge Death, which would have been awesome. But hopefully that'll be in the TV series.
Yeah, okay, well, I might as well.
Tom, what's
I
your
might as well
number
jump
one?
in here. Yeah, I might as well jump in here and admit that Dredd is my number one film as well.
Hey.
So well done, Daisy. Well done, Rich.
High five you through the. High five through
the lens.
Can we just take a quick pause while everyone who didn't put Dredd at number one just leaves the podcast?
No, don't do that, because then we'll have no listeners.
One.
Or at least in the top three. You guys have said a lot about it. I completely agree. I mean, maybe there's a bit of a cultural bias amongst the members of this podcast, in that we are all the right boys of the right age who read 2000 AD when we were young.
Yeah.
So
I
there's clearly a reason why
never
we
got on
chosen
with
this.
Judge Dredd.
Fair enough. And you didn't have
No,
it in your... Did you even have it in your top 10, Jason?
No.
Okay.
No, but what I mean is, when I was young, Judge Dredd did not... It never got me. I was X-Men, Superman,
to
Batman,
be fair,
all that kind of
Jason,
thing.
with that decision, you've ultimately paid the price because Norwich City have been relegated from the Premier League. So, it's your own fault.
Sense.
Direct cause and effect, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Things I love about the Judge Dredd film. We've talked about Carl Urban. I'm also a huge fan of Carl Urban. As far as I'm concerned, he can and does no wrong, even in things which are palpably shit, like the new Star Trek movies. He is still excellent.
Carl Urban can have my babies.
Carl Urban, I would marry. I would marry him and boff him,
And
I
treasure
wouldn't
him.
kill him. I protect him with every fibre of my being.
Yes.
Because he's so beautiful. Interesting things about this film. Well, I remember at the time there was some slightly unfavourable. We were talking. You mentioned Daisy that it didn't really get the box office love that it deserved. Sorry, that might have been Rich, but that's sort of been covered. There was some unfavourable talk at the time about this film in regards to another tower block siege film, The Raid. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Which was interesting. And looking back on it, I think the general consensus is that it was just a case of parallel story evolution. The Raid came out slightly before Dredd did, but Dredd went into production about 6 months earlier, so Dredd couldn't have ripped off. I think it was just unlucky that that they happened to be written at the same time, and Dredd came second, so it looked like and felt like a bit of a rip-off. And there are positive similarities between the films. They're both relatively low budget, so they make very good use of this one location, and they tell a similar story, and the tension in the films is similar.
There is on the back of loads of fan petitions. I haven't seen it. I'm going to watch it soon. On YouTube, there's a mini animated series called Judge Dredd Super Fiend, which was an animated short series to kind of try and placate some of the fans who wanted a sort of a film sequel. So that might be worth watching.
The things I love about it, I think Lena Headley's great. Carl Urban's great. I forget her name now, but the other co-star is excellent as Judge Anderson. It's a really good reinterpretation of the comics. And it's tricky. I think it's very tricky to do in film to reinterpret.
Thirlby, Olivia Thirlby.
Thank you.
Oh,
it's tricky to, and this film does it very well. What's great about it is that it does the right thing. It makes the setting the key character. You know, the world and Mega City 1 in particular, and it gives it a really kind of gritty, realistic feel. Like you believe that this is what if you read the comics. It's a fantastic idea, but they look like a cartoonized, satirized apocalypse. This looks like a post-apocalyptic world that could actually exist. You know, it could be a slum of New York or Boston or whatever. And it sets it so well. Carl Urban does a great job. I think a bit like you were saying, Rich, about Mad Max almost being like a passenger in his Mad Max movie, and that kind of working for the film it is. I think Carl Urban's performance is so good and understated in this that he is kind of along for the ride in a film which is about the world.
Yeah,
and that's among the reasons why I love it so much.
Cool.
I mean, what you said there is probably what I meant. I contradicted myself, so I said that they reinvented Max a bit, and I thought that worked because the old Max wouldn't work. But with Dredd, I suppose they haven't reinvented Dredd, but I suppose in the comic strip, he is, his face is in every cell almost, isn't it? I was gonna say something, but all I'd be doing is rehashing what you've said. So yeah, I agree.
Right,
agree.
Rich, do you want to just tell us your number one? Just so that we can complete the Mad Max Dredd circle jerk bukkake.
Of course.
Currently going on.
So my number one was Prometheus. No, it was Fury Road. Fury Road, of course. Yeah. If only there could be some sort of Mad Max Dredd crossover, that would have been number one. But there you go.
I'd watch the shit out of that film.
Yeah, Fury Road.
Is that all you've got to say about it? Yeah.
Well,
Furio.
we've
You've
been
said
round,
everything.
We've been round and round. You know,
Yeah.
it was just it was a great way to revive that franchise. I don't know if it's succeeded in reviving the franchise. To be honest, has it? Have they? Does it need even following up? But it was a great way to bring that character back and make it worth watching.
I mean, I haven't watched it obviously, but I think I'm aware that they are planning some kind of Furiosa.
Are they?
Spin-off.
I don't know if I like the idea of it, actually. I mean, I said it's a great way to revive it. What I mean is it's a great way to bring it back to the cinema and make it worth going to see. I don't know necessarily whether it'll be milked to...
I mean, to be fair, if they can get 8 or 9 shitty films out of the Need for Speed franchise, I'm sure there'll be some more. Because it was... I mean, I'm not being derogatory against Mad Max here, but it is basically a long sci-fi car chase film, and I would find it hard to believe they won't make at least one more of those, because it did very well, obviously.
And it also gave rise to one of my favourite understated internet memes, which is the mediocre meme of Immortan Joe just looking at somebody failing and yelling mediocre.
So what you like about Immortan Joe, but face masks, social distancing.
Yeah.
His past is our future.
By the way, you mentioned the black and chrome version, which I definitely want to see. I don't know if you guys have watched the black and white version of Logan.
No.
Really, really good. I know it's the same film, but in black and white. But somehow it adds.
Really work like that.
Yeah. Somehow it really adds
I can't watch Patrick Stewart's character die in black and white. I think that'd be too much for me.
Yeah.
Just adds an element of extra sort of moroseness and sadness to it if it's in black and white.
There's something about the way that
I'm not ready for it.
There's something about the way that blood looks on screen in black and white, and particularly with Logan being so bloody.
Yeah, I'm not ready to see that again. I don't think I still haven't got over Aerith's death from Final Fantasy VII, so, or indeed Optimus Prime from the animated movie in the 1980s. So
I think you'll find he's resurrected in Series 4, but never mind.
Yeah, too soon.
Then.
Right. So are we done?
I think we're done.
Like 5 hours after we started. We're
Well done, everyone.
Yeah, this is going to be a long ass podcast.
Worth it though to get to number 1.
I think I'm just going to cut all of your conversations about Dread and Mad Max out and just finish with me saying that Interstellar's the best.
It's quite impressive that our 1s and 2s were where they were and they were just switched.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
It's worth saying to the audience, isn't it? We debated whether or not to let each other know what our choices were, and I think there were some pros and cons to discussing it beforehand. we went for going in without telling anybody what our choices were, and it's quite interesting that simultaneously we've had very similar choices in very similar places, particularly towards the top 3 there, but also violently disagreed about a lot of films being very high in our respective choices and then not being anywhere in each other's. So
works very well.
An interesting thought experiment. Project.
So can the next podcast be the top 10 of the previous decade, where we all just say that Moon was the top one and then leave it at that?
No, because I've not seen it.
Get out. Head for the same door that I had to head to.
I can't get out because I'm still adhering to the lockdown protocol. I'm going to stay
get back in again.
Get in and stay in.
Yeah. Okay.
Whew.
Cool. Right. Well,
that was a marathon. Well done, everyone.
Yeah, very good. Thank you to everyone who listened, and thank you more to everyone who stayed listening to the end of this podcast, which by this count is around about 4.5 hours long.
And do tell us what you think of our choices, dear listeners, and if you have anything you violently disagree with, we'd be delighted to hear you. If you insist on putting Nolan films in your top 5, then you're wrong, but that's fine. We can talk about that too.
That appears to be most people who have written into us.
Obviously, we've threatened a few people with Death Star lasers and rolling Promethean spaceships. So if you'd like
to say a few people, you mean my brother, right?
If you'd like to suggest inventive sci-fi ways for us to die, virtually, then please let us know.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Listeners, what would be the most apposite sci-fi death for each member of this podcast? What would be the most ironically squishy way we could die?
And feel free to send in fan art to that effect.
I've already thought of one for Finney. It would just be he's been poisoned by a mild toxin, and the cure is at a shelf that is slightly above average height for a human being.
I think that would work for any of us, wouldn't it? Can it be for Finney Can it be for Finney that he's poisoned by a toxin and the only cure is fruit? First of all, he has to find out what it looks like.
They're those sweet vegetables. We went through this.
Yeah, Haribo.
We went through this.
Oh dear. Anyway, right. Lovely. Thank you all. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Tune in next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, that was longer than I was expecting it to.
Hell.